Republican National Committee Communications Director Sean "I Don't Sleep" Spicer is with me right now. Sean, what do you make of this? I mean, it sounds like these guys are lecturing Donald Trump, are they?
No, not at all. I think, look, we as conservatives, I think our policies we recognize are better, whether it's our fiscal policies or our social policies. And I think we want to be out there, in terms of our candidates, presenting the best face forward and talking about how we can grow our party, we can grow the movement, add more conservatives and bring people into the movement. And that while the left tries to come in and disrupt us, that we need to stay focused on bringing a positive message to our movement and keeping people engaged in the process.
But you know what? And again, I'm just reading between the lines, but whether it was the criticism from Ryan and the concern, ditto from Mitch McConnell, was to say, yes, they're protests, these groups that come in to disrupt things, but they did put a lot of the onus on Donald Trump himself, urging setting the right tone, et cetera. How different is that from President Obama saying much the same thing?
Well, I think we all can agree that one of our greatest rights as Americans is our ability to speak out. But we must do so, use that right of free speech in a way that's respectful. And that's a two-way street. And I think that what we want to do is make sure that we have an election, and while the eyes of the world are upon us, that people look and say, that's how you conduct a democratic election. People may disagree with you, people may agree with you, but you can coexist. We can go out there and forcefully make the case for conservative values, but we don't need to do it and incite violence one way or the other. But, Neil, I think it's interesting because here's sort of the interesting take. Everybody's rallying around what happened, and the fact of the matter is, number one, there was professional disruptors that have come and done this, and I think the left has stayed silent on this. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders have said nothing with respect to the role that their side plays in creating these instances. Number two, when Hillary Clinton had an individual at a rally that said, quote, "I want to strangle Carly Fiorina," number one, she laughed. Number two, the rest of the Democratic Party, including the chair, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, stayed silent. Number three, when last night they have this town hall with Chris Matthews, who has said a litany of racist and obscene comments, and yet they embrace a guy like that who has offended Jewish people with all sorts of different, Hispanics, and yet the Democratic Party has no problem embracing someone as racist and obscene as Chris Matthews, or staying silent when someone talks about beating Carly Fiorina, and yet they're the first ones in line to condemn everyone else. I think everyone, all sides, need to understand that what we need to do is freely talk about why our policies are better, why we're engaging in the political process.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, Sean, but I mean, when Hillary Clinton, to the extra dimension of saying that this is the type of thing that precipitates lynchings and the rest, I mean, it was out of control. So why would Speaker Ryan or Majority Leader McConnell add to that by putting part of the onus on Donald Trump to keep things calm? Do you think Donald Trump has to do more?
Right. I think as leaders, whether it's Chairman Priebus, Speaker Ryan, Majority Leader McConnell,
what would he
Donald
have to
Trump,
do, Sean? What do you think he would have to do? Because Trump has said, I don't have to do anything. I have not egged anyone on. It's these guys who come in and burst into my events and are well-coordinated attacks.
Right, and I look to someone like Ronald Reagan or other leaders that talked positively about our party, that created a sense of aspiration, that talked about a better America, a better Republican Party. I think that we all have to remember that the volume is turned up. There's a lot at stake in this election.
But
that doesn't mean that...
Do you think his volume is turned up, that he's got to bring it down, that Donald Trump has got to bring it down?
I think we all need to be cognizant, every single one of us. But I think, look, the difference is when you look at the folks on the right and in the conservative movement, we're saying, hey, we can have a civil debate among disagreeing parties or interests. But it's the left that actually stays silent. And I find it funny that the conservative movement takes all the heat, but yet you see Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, and the rest of the gang. They're quick to point fingers. They never accept any blame. They embrace people like Chris Matthews, Bill Maher, and these people that stand up at rallies and say violent things. They call Republicans terrorists. They talk about lynchings. Debbie Wasserman Schultz talked about Republicans taking the back of their hand to women. They have no problem turning up the volume and using over-the-top rhetoric. But the second that somebody else does, and again, I'm not condoning it, I think everybody's got to be careful of their tone and their rhetoric. But the Democrats and the left are easy to point fingers and never want any of the blame.
Sean, always good talking to you. It's crazy times there. They are that.
Thanks,
Sean
Neil.
Spicer. All right, well.